You're listening to 92.1 WFOV, Flint, Our Voices Radio. Be heard.
The following presentation has been pre-recorded.
Welcome to Community Playlist. This is Kristen Centers-Young, and you're listening to WFOV 92.1 Flint, Our Voices Radio, with Anwar and Tom from Flint Pride. We have a festival coming up.
Yes, we do.
Yep.
June 23rd.
June 23rd, 2 to 8 p.m.
Okay, and where's that going to be at?
That is going to be at the Riverbank Park. If you are not familiar with it, most people know it as Riverfront.
The Riverfront
dorms. Yep. That's what most people know it as.
Yep.
So it's right behind there, like where the stage and all of that area is.
I'm old enough to remember that as the Hyatt.
Yeah, and see, that's what a lot of people remember. Yeah.
Okay, so the park right next to the Hyatt,
Yeah.
otherwise known as the University of Michigan dorms,
Yeah.
or the Riverfront Center.
Also, the day of the event, there will be balloons and banners, so it's very difficult to miss us.
Yeah, a lot of music. You can.
Yeah.
So if you're downtown on June 23rd, it'll be easy to spot Flint Pride.
Yes.
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 You guys will make that happen for us.
Definitely.
Yes.
Okay.
We've been doing it, this year's the 8th year.
8th year, yep.
So yeah, kind of getting louder and louder as we go.
Yep. For the past 3 years, it's been getting bigger and bigger. I believe last year we got around close to 1,300 folks showed up.
That's awesome.
And I think we came from, 500 the first Pride?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, around that.
Now, I remember being at the first Pride,
Yeah.
and it did seem like a small crowd.
Yeah.
So you guys have tripled that
Yes.
easily,
Definitely.
and looking to quadruple?
Yeah, we are growing and trying to get bigger, of course.
Absolutely. If I was bringing my family and friends downtown Flint, what would I expect at a Pride Festival?
Pride is basically a family-friendly event. So things you can be looking forward to is drag queen performances. So we do have those. And then we have like the kids' corner. So we have a certain area that the kids can play in. Most of the time it's like chalks, games, like water balloons, like all kind of stuff over there, for the kids to play with. We sometimes have public speakers come out and talk to us. I know last year, I think Kildy came, and the year before that, if I want to say.
Yeah, it was the year before.
Okay, the year before that. And then we also have a couple of like local artists as well. So Pharrell Star is one artist. He usually performs almost every year with us. He's been doing it. He's one. And then another one is Phased. He's another local performer as well.
We also have amazing food trucks.
Yes.
So folks want to come out and have a great time eating too, and they kind of celebrate diversity in the community, and a lot of great vendors that Anwar kind of hinted at as well that do crafts and a lot of local resource information.
So there's good food and good music and activities for the kids. So perfect afternoon all around. And then there's additional information from some local resources.
Yes. So again, there'll be multiple vendors, multiple tables set up, and a lot of the community organizations will be there too.
And you mentioned when we were talking before the show some of those local vendors. So of course there is going to be HIV testing, but there's also testing for hepatitis
Yeah,
C.
Hep C.
Okay.
So there will be free HIV screenings. The HIV screenings normally take about 15 or 20 minutes. You get your results in the same sitting, and then there'll be Hep C testing as well. So aside from the Hep C testing, the health department will be out doing Hep A and Hep B vaccines.
We have the health department there doing testing and making vaccines available.
Well, wellness services will be doing
Wellness,
that.
oh, okay.
Yeah, doing the HIV and hepatitis C testing.
Okay.
And then the health department will be coming to do the vaccines.
Okay. Perfect.
And keep in mind, everything is free.
The best word there
Right.
is, right? I'm assuming you have the food trucks are expecting to get paid.
Yes,
Yes.
of course.
Okay, but the music is free.
Yeah.
And we will have good food, good music.
Good performers. It's fun time.
Rain or shine.
Yes.
It's going to be a good time.
We're going to take a break and we're going to listen to one of the songs you chose. And then come back and talk a little bit more about Flint Pride and what this is representing to our community.
First thing I do when I get out of bed, pick out which snapback I'ma put up on my head. Of course the cut is fresh, and my hat matches my shoes. And then I brush my teeth while I'm putting on my jewels. Now I'm shining like a star, the life of the party with a motto on my arm. You can catch me at the bar standing next to a speaker. There's way too many people in this club, I hope they both got my swag on, get your swag on. Hey, let me see how y'all do when y'all get your swag on. Two steps to the left, two steps to the right. Drop it if the swag is super tight. Swag on, get your swag on. Hey, let me see how y'all do when y'all get your swag on. Two steps to the left, two steps to the right. Drop it if the swag is super tight. You can say I'm really feeling myself. I believe my swag swag is harder than everybody else. Hypnotizing all the chicks with the smell of my cologne. But I pay to no attention. Too busy twittering on my iPhone. And that's real. My liquor's gone, I think I need a refill. But I gotta wait cause I hear them playing my single. Hey Mr. DJ, turn it up some more. And if you don't like it, then you can get the swag on. Get your swag on. Hey, let me see how y'all do when y'all get that swag on. 2 steps to the left, 2 steps to the right. Drop, and get your swag in super time. Swag on. Get your swag on. Hey, let me see how y'all do when y'all get that swag on. 2 steps to the left, 2 steps to the right. Drop, and get your swag in super time.
Yo, for real, you knew it wasn't gonna be real super swaggeristic unless Archive was in, right? Archive, yeah, for real, yeah. We super swaggerlicious.
Spin it up, turn your swag on. Turn your swag on. If you fresher than a mother and your swag's on. So when you see a sexy lady, turn it up. Swag on. Get your swag on. Hey, let me see how y'all do when y'all get your swag on. 2 steps to the left, 2 steps to the right. Drop, and get the swag in super time. Swag on. Get your swag on. Hey, let me see how y'all do when y'all get your swag on. 2 steps to the left, 2 steps to the right. Drop, and get the swag in super time. Swag on. Get your swag on. Hey, let me see how y'all do when y'all get your swag on. 2 steps to the left, 2 steps to the right. Drop, and get the swag in super time. Swag on. Get your swag on. Hey, let me see how y'all do when y'all get your swag on. 2 steps to the left, 2 steps to the right. Drop, and get the swag in super time.
You're listening to Community Playlist on WFOV, Flint, Our Voices Radio. I'm here with Tom and Anwar from Flint Pride, and we were listening to Farillo Star, who's going to be at the festival on June 23rd, coming up very shortly. Tell me about, how long have you been doing festivals in Flint?
This will be our 8th year.
8th year? And how did that get started?
So about 8 years ago, as a means to kind of create an opportunity in the community to celebrate diversity, some folks got together to plan and host Flint Pride as a means to kind of reach out, especially to LGBTQ plus folks of color who are often ignored within the community and often pushed out. And Flint was a great way to start incorporating that, and then to reach out and start HIV testing and do prevention talk and have a time of the year to kind of come together, celebrate, get resources out, and help meet needs of, a population that's routinely ignored even within its own community. Since then, we've grown a lot. Like we've mentioned before, there's around 1,300 people who showed up last year.
One of the things that I've noticed is going out to Long Beach for parades and going out to the West Coast for parades, and then being at the festival here in Flint. There's a difference, and it's a very obvious difference in just in sort of the feel and the tone. I mean, the festival is much more family friendly, like you said, much more embracing of a lot of diversity, and the feel seems to be celebrating diversity more than anything else. And really connections.
And that's one thing that we talk a lot about when we're planning Pride every year is kind of keep that in the forefront of our minds while planning it for entertainment, for vendors. What does the community need and what does the community want to see? One of the things, like you mentioned, it doesn't look a lot like Prides around the country on the West or the East Coast is because a lot of Prides get white really fast. And like we mentioned before, that pushes folks of color out really quickly, or even folks who identify as transgender or non-binary as well.
When you said that the parades have a tendency to get white really fast, how do you think that happens?
In my opinion, I would think it's accessibility. A lot of white folks have means to get to these areas. Their plans with kind of this image of what the planning committee in those areas might look like. A lot of times the image of the LGBT community is a white, cisgender, middle-class man. And so that's kind of the image that's projected and thought about pulling into these events, which that's not the community. That's a very small percentage of the community. But I mean, if you just look on TV, whenever you see Pride anything, what do you see most of the time? White, middle-class, cisgender men.
And then it's also who you promote it to. And then not even that, just the type of music you play, the individuals that you book to perform at your Pride.
So, and I am thinking about that because I've been to the Long Beach Pride Parade with my brother and his husband and have celebrated that. And I'm thinking in my head what parts I've missed and in what I was just kind of looking over and the differences between how we celebrate as sort of a family-friendly diversity celebration, a lot of services, connections to services we talked about, testing and food trucks, and there's differences. And I'm running running in my brain what those differences are and how Flint has really come together and really looked at a celebration of embracing diversity more than some other areas have. So kudos to you guys for making that happen.
Thank you.
Again, sometimes I think we don't recognize what we miss, and with really good intentions, aren't as inclusive as we want to be in providing services to the community. I think that's a good lesson in being able to look over and say, how did this all of a sudden become sort of one shade, despite our intentions of being able to do that.
And plus, this lets the community come and see which possibly friendly agencies and resources like that are out there, like you said, than to access it. Because a gay man may have a different experience walking into a medical provider than a trans woman of color. So you might not know who could be a possible ally or a possible danger and then not access services. And that creates a lot of concerns for health moving forward within the community.
Absolutely. And that when you think about some of those public health risks, and that we're looking at the idea of if the services are available, why don't people access those services? And just the fact that, again, in many ways, we don't understand how we're putting up barriers that make it so that it's not comfortable to access those services. And I know from being a substance abuse provider, when I'm at a vendor table and we've got the big, substance abuse treatment table and all the substance abuse treatment, people walk by and kind of look at you out of the corner of their eye and think, I got a cousin, but I don't want to be seen at that table. So it really does put faces and some comfortability to who you're connecting. That's awesome. So we're going to listen to some more music and come back and talk about this year's festival.
My mama told me when I was young, we're all born superstars. She rolled my hair, put my lipstick on, in a glass of purple dry. There's nothing wrong with loving who you are, she said, 'cause he made you perfect, babe. So hold your head up, girl, and you'll go far. There's an million to say, I'm beautiful in my way, 'cause I make no mistakes. I'm on the right track, baby, I was born this way. Don't hurt yourself and regret, just love yourself and instead. I'm on the right track, baby, I was born this way. Oh, there ain't no other way, baby, I was born this way. Baby, I was born this way. Oh, there ain't no other way, baby, I was born this way. Right track, baby, I was born this way. Don't be a drag, just be a queen. Don't be a drag, just be a queen. Don't be a drag, just be a queen. Give yourself prudence and love your friends, so we can rejoice the truth. In the religion of the insecure, I must be myself, respect my youth. A different law is not a sin, believe capital H-I-M. I know my love, I love the trend of an end. Me, I'm on it, but guys. I'm beautiful in my way, 'cause I make no mistakes. I'm on the right track, baby, I was born this way. Don't hurt yourself and regret, just love yourself and instead. I'm on the right track, baby, I was born this way. Oh, there ain't no other way, baby, I was born this way. Baby, I was born this way. Born this way, there ain't no other way, baby, I was born on the right track, baby, I was born this way. Don't be a drag, just be a queen. Whether you're broke or evergreen, you're black, white, beige, chola descent, you're Lebanese, you're Orient. Whether life's disabilities left you outcast for leader teased, rejoice and love yourself today, 'cause baby, you were born this way. No matter gay, straight or bi, lesbian, transgender life, I'm on the right track, baby, I was born to survive. No matter black, white, or beige, chola or Orient made, I'm on the right track, baby, I was born to be brave. Baby, I was born born this way. Same DNA.
More of Community Playlist with Kristen Centers Young is coming up on WFOV 92.1 LP FM, Flint, Our Voices Radio.
You better work.
I have one thing to say. You better work.
You're listening to 92.1 WFOV, Flint, Our Voices Radio. Be heard.
Oh, hi, Jessica.
Hi, Mrs. Johnson. Is Megan there?
Sure. Follow me. The kids are in the kitchen making sandwiches.
Hey, Julie. Hi, Megan. Hey, Megan.
Yeah?
You're a total freak. God, you're ugly. And dumb. Oh, and your makeup makes you look like a tramp. Tommy Morris told me you guys made out. Everybody knows. The whole school knows. He said your breath smelled like garbage. And that dress is totally hideous. You look like a big fat clown. Disgusting. Oh, and by the way, nice zit.
If you wouldn't say it in person, why say it online? Delete cyberbullying. Don't write it, don't forward it. For more information, visit ncpc.org, a message from the U.S. Department of Justice, Crime Prevention Coalition of America, National Crime Prevention Council, and the Ad Council.
Parents want to protect their children, but it's challenging. The Strengthening Families program for parents and youth ages 10 to 14 is a scientifically tested curriculum delivered in 7 parent, youth, and family sessions. It helps parents and caregivers learn nurturing skills to support their children. It teaches parents and caregivers how to effectively discipline and guide their youth. It gives youth a healthy future orientation and an increased appreciation of their parents and caregivers, and teaches youth skills for dealing with stress and peer pressure. This program is now offered free for the residents of the Flint community through funding from Region 10 PIHP Strategic Targeted Response Grant. To enroll or find out more, call 810-660-1411 or go to our website at www.odysseyvillage.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to Community Playlist on WFOV 92.1 Flint, Our Voices Radio. I'm here with Anwar and Tom from Flint Pride, and we've been talking about a lot of the services but this year's festival is specifically dedicated.
This year, we are specifically dedicating this Pride to Deion Jackson. So a lot of people within the Southwest Michigan area would know him as DJ MB. So Deion Jackson, he planned like the first 2 Prides himself, and then he DJ'd multiple of the other Prides. So with Deion, we are also establishing a scholarship in his name. Individuals that identify on the LGBT spectrum can plan to go to college or trade school or anything else after that after high school. Anybody that is willing to donate towards the cause, they can go on our Facebook, the Wellness AIDS Facebook page, and they can actually click the link, the PayPal link, and donate towards his name. All you have to do is type his name in there.
And you mentioned that scholarships and any post-high school training or education, a lot of people don't do that.
So it's for anybody coming out of high school. You can go to basically anywhere.
Any kind of training and any kind of advanced education or post-high school education. Because a lot of times we hear college scholarships, but college isn't necessarily for everybody. But some of that trade schools, I always think about how many female plumbers we need to add to the mix, or how many times we need to make really good, solid incomes more accessible to a variety of different people. I was at a training here in Flint, and we were talking about when's the last time you saw an African-American female plumber. But that's good money. But when's the last time?
I think I've ever seen one.
Right. And so making that kind of trade school and that kind of education accessible.
Right.
Because we have a tendency to think four-year university. So awesome for including that.
Yes. Further announcements will be made at the actual Pride event.
And you said that was Deion Jackson. D-E-O-N?
D-E-O-N.
Jackson. Okay. And then you can go into the Facebook page.
Yep. Facebook page on Wellness Services. And it's a link, a PayPal link for you to donate. And you just go in there and type in Deion's name.
Okay. That's a perfect way to be able to find out more information and donate.
Yes.
You mentioned that Deion was really instrumental in starting Pride, bringing that festival here.
Well, he was the founder of the Pride Planning Committee.
So what a great way to be able to memorialize somebody as to being able to have that continued education and development.
Definitely.
Are there any special events or anything going on? Because you mentioned that Deion used to DJ the events. So you have a new DJ.
So we took somebody on this year. His name is Matt Holliday, and he will be DJing for us this year.
So speaking of DJs, we're going to take a break and listen to a couple more of your song choices, and then come back and talk about all those sponsors and vendors and all those people that help make this possible for you.
The time has come for me to break world, all that I wanna be, and all my abilities. There's so much more to me. Somehow I'll have to make them just understand. I got it well in hand, and oh, how I plan. I'm spreading love. There is no need to fear, and I just feel so good every time I hear I'm coming out. I want the world to know. I got to let it show. I'm coming out, coming. I want the world to know. Got to let it show. I'm coming, coming, coming. I want the world to know. Got to let it show. I'm coming out. I want the world to know. Got to let it show.
More of Community Playlist with Kristen Centers Young is coming up on WFOV 92.1 LP FM, Flint, Our Voices Radio.
Well, I'm sexy, I'm cool, but you're taking me back to school. I'm yearning, I'm burning, you're learning me something new. So please forgive me for clutching my pearls, and please forgive me for fanning my face, and I forgive you for filling out my world. It's so hot in this place. Look at my cheeks, like apples, and I'm breaking a sweat. Got my heart beating faster, but I'll never regret you. 'Cause these words that I so long, I never felt like this. Yeah, with just one kiss. Ooh, you got me so bashful, baby, huh? You got me so bashful, baby, huh? You got me so bashful, baby. It's funny how fast my skirt came off of my ass. If you knew me, you'd guess I've never been so underbashed. When you say you love my Keisha complexion, in a way I ain't never expected. You got me admiring my own reflection. It's so hot in this place. Look at my cheeks, like apples, and I'm breaking a sweat. Got my heart beating faster, but I'll never regret you. 'Cause these words that I so long, I never felt like this. Yeah, with just one kiss. Ooh, you got me so bashful, baby, huh? You got me so bashful, baby, huh? You got me so bashful, baby. complexion.
Look at my cheeks like apples and I'm breaking a sweat. Got my heart beating faster, but I'll never regret you. 'Cause this world that I so long, I never felt like this. Yeah, with just one kiss. Ooh, you got me so bashful, baby. You got me so bashful, baby. You got me so bashful, baby.
Complexion.
You're listening to 92.1 WFOV, Flint, Our Voices Radio. Be heard.
Us kids hear a lot about what's happening in our hometown of Flint. And we're here to tell you who Flint kids really are. Flint kids are smart. Flint kids are creative. Flint kids are healthy. Flint kids are dreamers. Flint kids are talented. We know we have a bright future. And we're gonna show how we'll make a difference in the world. Because Flint kids are strong.
Parents want to protect their children, but it's challenging. The Strengthening Families program for parents and youth ages 10 to 14 is a scientifically tested curriculum delivered in 7 parent, youth, and family sessions. It helps parents and caregivers learn nurturing skills to support their children. It teaches parents and caregivers how to effectively discipline and guide their youth. It gives youth a healthy future orientation and an increased appreciation of their parents and caregivers. And teaches youth skills for dealing with stress and peer pressure. This program is now offered free for the residents of the Flint community through funding from Region 10 PIHP Strategic Targeted Response Grant. To enroll or find out more, call 810-660-1411 or go to our website at www.odysseyvillage.com.
Welcome back. You are listening to Community Playlist on WFOV 92.1 Flint, Our Voices Radio. I'm Kristen Centers-Young, and we are here with Anwar and Tom from Flint Pride. We were listening to Shay Diamond, local to Flint, one of your choices, needs to get airplay and have more recognition in the community.
Actually, a trans individual, and she used to live in Flint. She's a local.
Okay, so local music, that's what we're promoting and all about over here. What else can we expect from the festival, though?
We are celebrating diversity, like we said, but with that, we're pulling out a diverse group of vendors, and with that too, we have a diverse group of sponsors to help out because we need help, financially planning this. Some of our vendors this year, we mentioned, were the VA, we'll have Enos, we'll have the Valley Area Agency on Aging, the VAAA. We will have information on adoption. We will have the Genesee Health System will be there, and they come with a lot of great different medical care and insurance information too. We will have the health department there, who, like Anwar mentioned before, will be helping out with hepatitis screenings. We will also have a lot of craft vendors there, so local artists will be there kind of selling and promoting their paintings, their crafts that they put together to sell. Also have other local friendly LGBT groups in the area as well. So a lot of folks who are friendly to the community that the community might not know that are out there, who have a lot of great resources that may help meet needs or kind of buy stuff to put in their homes.
Well, I know that Flint Odyssey House has been a vendor for years, so that's one of the things that actually several of our staff look forward to, and take their children. So it's one of the, actually their children probably look forward to the event more than the staff who's working the booth. So we've been part of that process. You would mention the Valley
Area Agency on Aging, the VAAA.
That's not one of the things I typically think about when we're talking about inclusiveness, is an aging population that may struggle or be averse to services because of prejudice and stigma. And I would think that because of their age and prior experiences, even more likely to back up and not be sure about what aging looks like for transgendered populations. Because I don't know if those systems are set up to really be as inclusive as they want to be.
And there are some that are out there everywhere, but of course they're on the West and East Coast, and a lot of folks that we have worked with, it's trying to get the word out with, not just for folks in the community, the LGBTQ plus community, the agencies themselves, that there is this population. There is a population who specifically needs these services, not only LGBTQ plus identifying individuals, but individuals living with HIV who, as the population ages, things like dementia become, more and more of a conversation to healthcare. These agencies don't have these populations in mind for their services. That's going to be detrimental to community health. You mentioned there is an aging population across this country, and this population in particular is very mistrustful at times due to the stigma that they had to navigate. I should say stigmas they had to navigate.
Absolutely. And I'm thinking about, again, I'm always pointing out the fact that I've been around for a while. So back in the 80s, when we first started having conversations about HIV, I don't think we ever had or even thought of an aging HIV population because we didn't think of being able to have the potential to talk about that. Now we have done what we needed to do, our due diligence, and made it so that people can have full lives and extended lives of being HIV positive. We're looking at the idea of what does that look like later when that population is aged and has been living with HIV and been living independently with HIV for 25 years. Now we're looking at, now what do we do now that I get older? And it wasn't even a point of conversation and consideration back
and not only
30
for
years
like
ago.
mental health, but like physical health, medication too, the medications that you have been on since, let's say, the 90s when they first came out. What did that medication do to your body for the past 20 years? So that's a lot of conversation that not only do these individuals who are living with HIV need to talk about, be empowered to talk about, learn to talk about, but the medical providers that they're going out and seeing as well need to keep that in their mind too. Okay, bone density. How does the medication over the let's say the 20 years you're on it affected your bone density? Let's talk about memory. Let's talk about possible worries or screenings for dementia. So these are things that, this event will help not only individuals coming access the testing, but resources that can learn about the needs of the population to change their policy and their minds moving forward to be more accessible.
Really looking at some opportunities to bridge that gap between those who need and those who could provide if they were even directed into where to look to start developing programming. I think a lot of times we want to help, we just don't know how. And if it's not part of our daily experience, very frequently don't even think of. And I'm thinking now, I'm thinking about just that whole idea of concerns about bone density testing.
Or tobacco use. Over half of people living with HIV are tobacco users. So how does tobacco use over multiple decades not only affect your health, but may affect the medications you're on too? So kind of moving forward and then having providers talk more with tobacco users who are living with HIV or living in the LGBTQ plus community or who are coming from communities of color, linking them to services to help reduce or eventually quit their tobacco use.
We had talked about earlier in the conversation about the idea of pride parades come from, and that idea of being recognized. Hi, I'm here. And then we have here in this community festival that's really not so much focused on hi, I'm here, but I have needs. We have solutions for each other. We have problems, we have solutions, and how to make those connections and to bridge that gap. And I'm always impressed by the Flint community in comparison to some other communities, because a lot of times people will say, you're from Flint? Like all of a sudden I got street cred. Right? Yeah, like, that's right. This is a really powerful community. When we come together, we're able to really do some amazing things by the ability to have really well-meaning and talented people willing to just cross some barriers and solve problems together. We've been solving problems together for so long. I think we take for granted the fact that we can do that. Thank you for making sure that we still have this resource in the community for 8 years going on this now. June 23rd is the day?
June 23rd.
Okay, so we've got food, we've got music, we've got activities for the kids, we've got vendors, we've got crafts, and then we've got some really good connections to local services. Pretty much everything you could expect on a Saturday in downtown Flint, which is safe, right? Everybody wants to make sure. So being able to have a good time, and you said it was from
2 p.m. to 8 p.m.
2 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll be looking forward to that.
Yes.
We're going to take a break. We're going to listen to some more music, and then we're going to come back and we're going to find out every place that we can make sure that we keep track of what's happening with Flint Pride.
Hi, we're your weather girls. And have we got news for you? You better listen. Get ready, all your lonely girls, and leave those umbrellas at home. All right.
It's rising. I'm just getting low.
How low, girl?
According to all sources.
What sources now?
The streets the place to
We better hurry up. 'Cause tonight, for the first time. raining men. Hallelujah, it's raining men. Every special man, tall, blind, Lord to lead, rough and tough and strong and free. God bless Mother Nature. She's a single woman too. She took on the heaven, and she did what she had to do. She fought every angel and rearranged the sky so that each and every woman could find the perfect God. It's raining men. Hallelujah, it's raining men. Amen. It's raining men. Hallelujah, it's raining men. Feel stormy weather moving in. About to begin. With the thunder, don't you lose your head. Rip up the roof and stay in bed. Rip up the roof and stay in bed. God bless Mother Nature. She's a single woman too. She took on the heavens, and she did what she had to do. She fought every angel. She rearranged the sky so that each and every woman could find the perfect God. Oh, it's raining men, yeah. It's rising. The barometer's getting low. According to all sources, the street's the place to go. But the night of the first time, just about 10:30. For the first time in history, it's gonna start raining men. Hallelujah, it's raining men. Amen, it's raining men. Hallelujah, it's raining men. Amen, it's raining men. Hallelujah, it's raining men.
More of Community Playlist with Kristen Centers Young is coming up on WFOV 92.1 LP FM, Flint, Our Voices Radio.
See him flossing in the metal, the games in a higher level, dimensions we in the several. You see, we get them together. DIY first, we swanging, bangers, bangers, he slanging. Show on point, he slanging. He wasn't always his favorite. Brown boy, standing ice, bleach stained sweatshirt, throwing water on me in the middle school restroom. Only brown hair in my ninth grade bag. 13, walking in the streets of UK. Now maybe there's a lesson I've been given, or some wisdom from the stories that I need to tell. And everybody's hoping and scraping and wishing they could be something outside themselves. If I can be me, then you can be yourself. Might not be easy. It's like we're never satisfied. It's like we're never satisfied, right? Got it locked with the namesake. Won't stay the same, change like every day. Got it locked the namesake. Won't stay the same, change like everything. Smiling through the vicious, the puzzle piece never fit in the new thread he was given to weave a singular vision. Could never be avaricious, instead of quiet, ambitious. No reason left to resist it. I hated this competition, so I'm not quitting they stay sweating, try to dictate it like they not living tea open about that truth. Feeling don't buck like a deer when shot. Getting no formula, run this path that you're on. We all gotta make our own living. Cry a lot, stay hit it, feels so good already. Now maybe there's a lesson I've been given, know some wisdom from the stories that I need to tell. And everybody's hoping and scraping and wishing they could be something outside themselves. If I can be me, then you can be yourself. Might not be easy. It's like we're never satisfied. It's like we're never satisfied. Got it locked with the namesake. Don't stay the same, change like every day. Got it locked with the namesake. Don't stay the same, change like every day. Man, you said you can't see me in February, he freed me. Cleared my head of debris, shattered my boundaries, and the lower degree was healing. When it was sorely needed, like Pakistan, I succeeded. My leaving won't be repeated. Never left for them tight roads. My eyes at where the sky goes, so rare like albinos. Portraits resume my vitals, fueling number like rhinos. Reaching up for them high notes, study me like your Bible. Gets finding out like I'm lying on. Now maybe there's a lesson I've been given, know some wisdom from the stories that I need to tell. And everybody's hoping and scraping and wishing they could be something outside themselves. If I can be me, then you can be yourself. Might not be easy. It's like we're never satisfied. It's like we're never satisfied. Got it locked with the namesake. Won't stay the same, change like every day. Got it locked with the namesake. Won't stay the same, change like every day. Now maybe there's a lesson I've been given, or some wisdom from the stories that I need to tell. Everybody's hoping and scraping and wishing they could be something outside themselves. If I can be me, then you can be yourself. May not be easy. It's like we're never satisfied.
You're listening to 92.1 WFOV, Flint, Our Voices Radio. Be heard.
So I graduated last year and got a job. Sweet! But it got boring. I didn't really have a purpose. Then I started volunteering with Community Action. It's a statewide network with 29 agencies across Michigan. Community Action helps people with food, housing, utilities, childcare, senior services, you name it. I found my purpose, helping people, changing lives. Won't you join me? Call 1-855-MI-ACTION or go to MichiganCommunityAction.org. Sponsored by Michigan Community Action and Michigan Association of Broadcasters.
Parents want to protect their children, but it's challenging. The Strengthening Families program for parents and youth ages 10 to 14 is a scientifically tested curriculum delivered in 7 parent, youth, and family sessions. It helps parents and caregivers learn nurturing skills to support their children. It teaches parents and caregivers how to effectively discipline and guide their youth. It gives youth a healthy future orientation and an increased appreciation of their parents and caregivers, and teaches youth skills for dealing with stress and peer pressure. This program is now offered free for the residents of the Flint community through funding from Region 10 PIHP Strategic Targeted Response Grant. To enroll or find out more, call 810-660-1411 or go to our website at www.odysseyvillage.com.
You're listening to Community Playlist. This is Kristen Centers-Young. I am here with Anwar and Tom from Flint Pride. We've been talking about everything they've been up to, but June is a really busy month. Tell us about June.
Again, Pride is coming June 23rd, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. We want to thank all the sponsors that have made this possible to do the 2018 Pride. Blue Cross Complete of Michigan, MTA, Equality Michigan, Unified HIV Health and Beyond, Wellness Services, GFAC, on behalf of the Charles Mount Foundation, Between the Lines, Genesee Health Systems, Kroger, Rivers, U of M Flint, and Riverbank Park. Also, with the Flint Pride Festival, again, June 23rd, and it happens 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. It is in the Riverbank Park. If you are not familiar with the Riverbank Park, we talked about it earlier. A lot of people know it as Riverfront Dorms.
Riverfront, yeah.
And what did you say, what was the hotel?
Once upon a time, it was the Hyatt.
Yes, the Hyatt. We will definitely be there, and we will be having fun. So a couple of things that we will have is vendors. We have free hepatitis C and HIV screenings. Again, you get your results in the same sitting that day. We also will have the health department out giving vaccines for Hep A and Hep B. We have a lot of drag performances. We have a few local performances as well. We have quite a lot of vendors, pop-up shops, food trucks. We have kids corners, crafts, all of that kind of stuff. Keep in mind, it is a family-friendly event, so everybody is welcome. And one thing that we do have is a mini ball. So the mini ball is usually at the last end of the Pride festivities. So that'll be from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. A lot of people may not know what a mini ball is, so the individuals that do know, so what a mini ball is, basically, it's kind of like a competition. So it's what individuals would like do runway, Vogue, compete in different categories. And so they compete for prizes, sometimes cash, sometimes trophies. Again, the mini ball is open to any and everybody, and it happens 7 to 8 p.m.
So how would I find out about this mini ball in the categories that I want to compete
that day?
Okay.
Mainly the categories would be the typical categories of Vogue, runway, realness.
And I can find out all of this stuff by going to where?
To Facebook. So you can go to the wellness page, Wellness Services, or you can go to the Flint Pride page, and on there you can find all of our information.
And so I need to go on Facebook and look for Flint Pride or Wellness.
Yes.
Are you on any other social media?
So Instagram is Wellness Services. Again, you can just look us up on there. And another thing that we do have this year is t-shirts. With the t-shirts, you can purchase your t-shirts actually on the Facebook page, and you purchase them ahead of time, but you actually can pick them up at the event. So you purchase them t-shirts, and they come with a poster as well. They're actually nice little color, pink.
They're cute. I've seen them.
Yeah,
yes,
real
they're cute.
like.
They're very 90s, very Saved by the Bell-ish.
Right. I was going to say very early 90s.
Yes,
right.
Yes, you always can go on the Flint Pride page, take a look at the t-shirts. So you can always order your size again, and right there on the page, and you pick them up the day of the event, as soon as you check in.
Right, so you have swag this year.
Yes, definitely. And another thing is that we are interested in volunteers. So with volunteers, if you are interested in volunteer, we have Pride planning meetings, and it's every Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. That's at 311 East Court Street, which is the Wellness Services building. Anybody is welcome. Come join us. We would like your input to help us better Pride, what you think that we could add, take out, all of that kind of stuff. Again, this is your community, so we would like to hear from you.
If you're not able to make the Flint Pride planning meetings, you can always show up the day of the event at the Riverfront at 11 a.m. to kind of volunteer and help us out then. We'll all be there setting up, so if you just want to show up, we'll have plenty of things for you to do to help us get ready for an amazing day.
And make sure you dress in warm weather attire.
Yeah,
it's going to be very hot.
Yeah, expect heat most
it's
of the
always
time.
very hot.
Right. Check your weather app and dress appropriately and accordingly. Right. And it's June in Michigan can get way up there. Okay. Well, thank you guys for coming in. I really appreciate all the information. And again, 8 years of great festivals in Flint, getting better and better every year. So thank you for that. We really appreciate that. We're located basically across the river from you, so it's an easy walk to enjoy from the building here. I'm glad that there's so many food trucks.
Yes.
Thank
and
you.
That's a big thing. We definitely added a lot more this year.
Okay, that's really exciting.
Yeah.
T-shirts and food trucks. Always make for a good time. Thank you again for coming in, and hopefully we can touch base again and make sure that we have you, if not every year, updating all the other stuff that's going on with the community here in our community.
Yes, and we look forward to seeing you at the event.
You've been listening to Community Playlist on WFOV 92.1 Flint, Our Voices Radio.
Out my way when you see me. I'm rolling with the LGBT. Out my way when you see me. I'm rolling with the LGBT. I'm rolling with the LGBT. I'm rolling with the LGBT. Looking like we belong on TV. I'm rolling with the LGBT. Too cool for this. Look at my body language. On everything, I need some potty training. Money missing, had to ask them what the rest of me. Before I call my up, they say yes, hunty. Judge one of the suds, they gon' bring some thugs. Judge one of my drags, catch you heal up your Don't judge a last man, cause she don't want you bad men. Judge one of the gays, they drag you from Z to A. And shout out to the bias, you ain't gotta pick a side. And if you in a closet, shorty, you ain't gotta hide. Better make these thick when they see you. And if a won't beef, give a beef stew. Stripper right in front of me, I hope she watch. She looking at my fan gaze, but they don't wanna smash. Know they back to act the fool, time is fast food. Then the gays hop on stage, I got the shit. Out my way when you see me. I'm rolling with the LGBT. Out my way when you see me. I'm rolling with the LGBT. I'm rolling with the LGBT. I'm rolling with the LGBT. Looking like we belong on TV. I'm rolling with the LGBT. Fashion wise, they don't play. When they step out, they gon' slay. I'm talking tight jeans, good hygiene. They flee every day. Yeah. With them, you better run off. No skydive, it's gon' jump off. No pun intended. Defended, cause they see we flyer than flight attendants. Do a hair flip, then I dip. In the strip club, throwing tips. And VIP, I'm about to buy more. Cause life too short like high scores. Tissue in my bra, go ahead. Pep, and I got long legs. A front full of cornbread. I shut up like a phone dead. Out my way when you see me. I'm rolling with the LGBT. Out my way when you see me. I'm rolling with the LGBT. I'm rolling with the LGBT. I'm rolling with the LGBT. Looking like we belong on TV. I'm rolling with the LGBT. I'm rolling with the LGBT. I'm rolling with the LGBT.